Willie D live.
Frisco 911, what is the location of the emergency?
Hi, we're at Kuykendall Stadium. My friend just got stabbed.
Okay, do you know who stabbed him?
We have no clue. He was sitting in our tent, but you need to send an ambulance right now.
They're on the way, okay? Give me a description of the person that stabbed him.
He was wearing a gray Essentials hoodie. He was black. He's standing out on the track right now.
He's standing on the track?
Yeah.
Okay.
His blue sweatpants on and done.
Okay, what did he stab your friend with?
I don't know. My friend's bleeding everywhere.
Okay. Okay. Where was he stabbed at?
The chest.
Okay. And do you still see the person that stabbed him, or did he leave?
It was Austin. Austin got stabbed in the chest. I'm sorry, what did you say?
The person that stabbed him, is he still there? Do you still see him?
There's adults on him, I think. Yeah.
There's adults that are trying to keep him there?
Know who he is. Sorry, what?
The person that stabbed your friend, is he still there?
Yeah, he's still here.
Okay, and
He's with the coach.
There's a coach with him?
Yes, he's with. People got him.
Okay. Do you know if he still has the weapon on him?
No clue, but he's like he can't do nothing. He's done.
What do you mean?
He stabbed Austin Metcalf in the chest. What?
What do you mean he can't do anything? What's going on with him?
Coaches have him, he can't hurt anyone.
Okay, when you say they have him, are they physically holding him down?
No, they're just holding him, walking around.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. What's your name?
Nathan Nordyke.
What's your last name? Nathan.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your last name?
Nordyke.
Okay. And do you see any of the responders there yet?
We hear the sirens, but
the
coach has sent us out. We're all walking to our buses.
Okay. So you're going to get on a bus right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the rest of the students are walking towards the buses?
Yeah, everyone's being evacuated out the stadium.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being quick.
Okay. Just follow whatever directions you're being provided by either the officers or by your coaches, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect with you, Nathan, but we've got all kinds of help headed that way.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
What's up, family? If it's your first time checking out the show, let me know what city, what state you're coming in from. If you're outside of the U.S., let me know what country you're representing. Throw up your flag. Family, I need you to smash up the likes, smash up the likes, smash up the likes. Family, I got a special guest in the studio all the way from Dallas, checking in to help us navigate through this wild, crazy case. I got trial attorney Andrew Wilkerson in the building. Boom, there he is. That's the good
What's
man.
going on, man?
Hey,
You
man,
all right?
thanks for coming on the show. I'm good, man. I'm good, man. Just trying to process this case just like everybody else. This is what one might call a juggernaut, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that you've had a chance to see the incident video, now that the arrest footage has been released, you've heard the 911 call. I'd like to get your perspective as a veteran trial attorney. If you had been the lead counsel on this case, what would you have done differently than either side?
I wasn't there, right? So I didn't see the trial, but I'm sure that I've heard everything that y'all have heard and seen everything that y'all have seen, okay? But I'm sure by now everyone has heard that he did not testify. Okay. It can't be too many reasons for that. It's either because they weren't prepared for him to testify, which falls on his attorney, or they thought that there was some bad evidence, that was gonna get presented if he testified. So I'm saying all that to say is I would have had Mr. Anthony ready to testify. I would have had, because it seems that and going through the police report, there's many things that needed to be further explained. There's many things that need to be further explained. The fact how he says, I think it's on page 2, man. He says, I'm not alleged, I did it. He put his hands on me. I was protecting myself. You got to understand, in a place like Collin County, there's a cultural disconnect. Okay, he's a black man. He is a black boy. Our culture is different from theirs. They don't really understand how we talk, how we walk. You see what I'm saying? And I don't know how white folks took that. Touch me and see what happens.
Well, they took it as a threat. They said that was a threat. They said that goes towards intention. Premeditated is what some people use. The word that some people use. Do you think that if he, let's say he did say that, does that create a premeditation argument?
No. If he said that, I would face it right in front of the jury and ask them what he meant by it. And that's the problem. You see what I'm saying, Willie? He didn't even take the stand. So he wasn't able to get up there and say, I wasn't threatening him. I was telling him that if he did something, I was going to protect myself to the fullest of my capabilities. That's all the jury needed to hear him say, instead of letting the jury sit here and go back and discuss what they thought he meant. You understand what I'm saying? And understand, those are just collateral issues. The main issue we needed to test about was the self-defense issue that they tried to get. And, to be quite honest, I was talking to my highly esteemed colleague, Michael Campbell, about this. Even in order to get manslaughter, he probably needed to testify, right? Because for self-defense, you need to testify that you were afraid of serious bodily injury or death. But for manslaughter, you need to tell them you did it because you were angry, right? The jury was not let into the mind of Karmelo Anthony, period. And that was just, so that's my answer to that question. I would have had him ready for all of that.
What do you think? What do you think the chances are that Karmelo Anthony's defense attorneys purposely sold him out?
Look, man, I usually don't get in other attorneys' business. I say that a lot because it's true. But in looking at what happened, I don't know if he did it on purpose. I don't know if he did it on accident, but it's the same result. Either you one of the good old boys, right? Which is bad, or you just so incompetent that you didn't know how to prepare yourself, correctly for this trial. And that's bad. So I don't know if he did it on purpose. All I know is I see the result and I heard what occurred. And back to your last question too. Even Willie, you can't say hit me and see what happens and I punch you in the face. And I'm right for that. That's assault. You see what I'm saying? So I just want to take it back because people got it wrong. That's a collateral issue. That don't matter if he said, touch me and I'll do something. It don't matter because I can't be on the street, right? Downtown Dallas or downtown Houston, and somebody say something to me and I just punch him in the face. I'm still going to jail for assault. I'm still the aggressor. You see what I'm saying? So verbal provocation is not adequate provocation. I just wanted to, go back on that. Just in case folks was confused.
Another thing is this, man. I hear the police saying all the time, don't move, I'll shoot.
Come on now.
They move and they shoot and
they claim self-defense.
Show me your hands. Don't dig in your pockets. Don't do it. I'm gonna shoot you. I'll shoot you. I'll blow you up. I've heard him say, I'll blow your motherfucking head off if you do that. You do that. Pow. That's what happened. Is it Sandra Massey? How do you say it?
Yep. And next thing you know, they say in the magic words, I was in imminent fear. Who says imminent fear? That's coach. The regular person don't talk like that.
Somebody that's coached.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, Andrew, what do you think it was the single most powerful bit of evidence on both sides?
I think the fact that on the state, let's start with the state side. I think the fact that they were allowed for 21, I think it was 21 witnesses to get up there and all of them to, render an opinion on the ultimate issue. I heard that the last question for all, because I do this. So I heard that the last question for all 21 witnesses was, do you think this was self-defense? Well, I'm hoping Mike Howard objected because
Right.
they shouldn't be saying if it's self-defense in front of the jury, because that is a question that causes for them to make a legal conclusion, and they're not lawyers. So if he objected, that's something that they could take up on appeal. If not, the state might have snuck that one by. But to sneak something by somebody 21 times, again, that either speaks to his incompetence or his involvement. I don't know. I ain't saying which one it is. You see what I'm saying?
I
And
think
go ahead.
I think it's both. I think
It
it's
could
both.
be both.
The reason why I say it's both is because number one, it was just for him not to present that, for him not to object, but only like a one or two times during the entire trial, for him to think he could get away with that shows the incompetence. Like I don't care how smart you think you are, you got to be short bus window licking slow to think that you're gonna be able to present that case in front of the world, and that people ain't gonna see what happened and call that out. And that's why I do believe, that's one of the reasons why I do believe that Karmelo Anthony was able to assemble such a great appellate team of lawyers, because those lawyers looked at that and was like, nah, man, that ain't right. These lawyers got reputations, just like everybody else. And they got integrity like everybody else. So they like, man, they're not gonna just go put their career on the line for somebody who don't think that they can adequately defend. I think that the reason why those lawyers got on board is because they see this case and they see how unfair it was. And I'll just go straight. I call it strike a strike and a ball a ball. I think what those lawyers did was absolutely criminal, and they should be investigated. Also, those 21 witnesses need to be investigated, because I'm sure that some of them perjured themselves. The Eddie guy, are you familiar with him?
The guy that said he didn't know him, is that him?
Yeah, the guy who was identified as Carmelo's friend, but Carmelo's girlfriend's cousin in some type of loose relationship as a cousin, right? This guy is the one who called Karmelo over to the tent and told him, invited him to sit down. And then when it went down, he allegedly recorded it. And when the trial happens, he gets on the stand and say Karmelo wasn't invited. He don't even know who Karmelo was, and they got pictures of him with Karmelo. And he said he didn't even know who Karmelo was. This guy is very sketchy to me. This guy needs to be investigated. This Eddie guy is a primary example of how important it is to pick your friends carefully.
I mean, look, I can tell you for certain that Collin County will coach their witnesses. 2 months prior to this, we got a not guilty out there in Collin County on the murder case. I think it's out of the 290 something court, but we got, 2 months prior to this. And what you have to do is, that's what I'm saying, Willie. I wasn't there. So I don't know the veracity or the tenacity of this man's cross-examination. I don't know if he was letting them slide on certain things or if he was going at their throat. But, the reason you don't let nobody go till you finish with them on that stand. I ain't letting you go till I'm finished with you. I'm going to have a detective up there all morning. If you got to use the bathroom, you might well go ahead and use the bathroom. Come on back, because we going to be here for a while until I cover all these questions I prepared. You see? So all you got to do, if you prepared your cross-examinations for all 21 witnesses, you've seen what they said before, them saying something different from what's in their statement, that ain't no excuse. Oh, that's a dream. Oh, I love for me to review all of your statements that you gave me. You come in here and say some more shit. Please do that, because I'm going to rip you off the bone. So it's just really no excuse for it. And this perjury thing, man, in that murder trial, I told you that I won 2 months prior to that. All white jury, by the way. I got a witness to say that she was lying 3 questions in.
Now, what was the complexion of the participant?
of the defendant or the witness?
The defendant and
Black.
And the victim.
Black. Both of them were black.
Okay.
Both of them were black. So, the prosecutor stands up and says, Judge, I'm sorry, I told her if she tells the truth, she'll be fine. And I'm looking like, well, nigga, she ain't tell the truth. She just told the jury she lied. But my point to you is perjury is when you're charged for lying under oath, right? Mr. Willie D. Who's gonna charge him?
None.
You see
Right.
what I'm saying? You think the DA about to charge their own witness with
Right.
perjury after saying what they told? That's the issue with perjury. Perjury is a fallacy.
Yeah.
Perjury is for whoever they say it's for. But if you the DA's star witness and you go say what the DA told you to say in this front little room, you see what I'm saying? He's not finna charge you with perjury. Only way he gonna charge you with perjury is if you go off the island, if you go off the reservation and say something different that hurts his case. But he not finna, you know. So that's a dream. All that perjury talk. You got to know how to control your witness. You got to know what's in your evidence, and you got to prep your cross. Your cross might go left. It's gonna be a fork in the road every 5 minutes with your cross, but you're supposed to be prepared for that. So like I say, it's just no. I can't think of of an excuse, man.
Do you think that Jeff Metcalf, Austin's father, is helping his, I would say, his reputation, his public reputation, by going on these interviews and speaking? Is he helping or hurting his public opinion about him?
Is Jeff Metcalf hurting Jeff Metcalf?
Is he hurting himself, and is he hurting the case going forward? Because this ain't over. Karmelo is appealing this decision by the court, and so this is not over. And what I want to know is, have you seen the racist rant that the dad went on?
Man, I think I saw the first two and then I just ignored them, man. But to answer your question, I think he's hurting his own image. I think that he's a very outlandish and proud person. I don't know what reason he got to be proud, but he acts very proud. He talks too much. He says racial things, you know. I think he's a bad winner. I think he thinks that this is over and he's won. I think he's a bad winner. He one of them folk, after they beat you, they just got to shit talk you. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I think that his comments are reflective of where he sits, though, in the racial argument. I think they're very reflective of what side he's sitting on. But I think it helps. I think it helps Karmelo's case. And you mentioned it, the team of attorneys he had. Man, Russell Wilson leading that thing, man. That's a bad boy.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Wilson, I hired Russell Wilson for me. Whenever I got held in contempt, he came and handled my business. So I'm talking about a brain, man. A brain. Like he gonna outsmart them folk over there. He gonna come at them in all different directions, and he gonna outsmart them folk, and he gonna do it in a very meek, astute, and just calm. But he gonna be at their throat though. And then you got Justin Moore. He's a civil rights attorney. I know Justin Moore got a couple murders under his belt. Holla at Justin. Shout out Justin. And another thing about Russell, he tries cases and he does appeals. So you're not going to get too much past Russell. Like Russell knows how to look at that transcript for the trial and point out what's wrong and fix it. You know what I'm saying? So, I got a lot of faith in that team, and I'm very excited, man. I'm very excited about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, was this case more about the law, the facts, or the credibility of the witnesses?
I think it was more about the law. Well, if the appeal, let's speak positively. When the appeal is granted, it'll be about the law. I think right now the case is about the facts. I think that's why they got the result that they got, because they leaned too heavily in the facts and they didn't use as much of the law to their advantage. And you can't use the benefits of a self-defense claim without the defendant letting the jury inside his head, man. You just can't do that. It was almost like a pump fake or something, like a 3-day long pump fake. I mean, you set it up for him to testify and then he don't testify. And it's only two reasons. Either you didn't prep him or he was scared shitless. But proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. You see what I'm saying? So if you would have been prepping him, I mean, what was that, a year ago? This case been pending for a year? You could have prepped him every Sunday. That's 50 times. You could have prepped him every Monday. That's, you see what I'm saying? I mean, and another thing, it's no excuse for it, man, because I've had my client when we won the murder trial, he was inside. He was in custody. Karmelo was out. Man, y'all could have Sunday dinner by the pool and go over your questions. You see what I'm saying? So it's just no excuse for it, man. And like I say, I'm not the attorney police. I'm not the ineffective assistance of counsel police. That's similar to snitching to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I kind of do this, but I'm just telling you what I would have did. You know,
Yeah.
I got a reputation of we 17 in one of the murder cases, baby. I don't really talk to the other side. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just telling you what I would have done if it were me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you
But I'm sorry, let me say this.
Yeah.
If ineffective assistance of counsel is the only way to get that man home, though, do it. I'm
Yeah.
for it. If that's the only way, let's do it. Because that boy needs to come home.
That's right. That's right. How much impact do you think that newly released footage of the incident had on the jury if the jury would have been able to watch that video footage over and over and over again at home?
You saying like it's a bad thing that they could watch that outside of court? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying it's bad or it's good. I'm just asking you, I'm asking you, what do you think about it? What are your thoughts?
I think it confuses things, man. What I think was wrong and what I think the defense should have tried to find a way to do, because what I heard happen, you can't really see the figures on the video all the way. You can see the scrapping, you can see the commotion, you can see the movement, which is all vital to his defense, right? But I'm hearing that they let somebody get up there and explain who is who. I'm against that. I'm against that because there's too many factors.
They can't. They wouldn't be able to do that. If I was there myself, I couldn't have told you where I was because it's too grainy, it's too blurred. Everything is black. All of the people and their bodies are black, so you can't see what's what. Unless I had a full puffed out afro, and I could say, well, that's got to be me right there, because the big puffed out afro.
Right, and you got to understand, in these cases I do, man, I mean, there's maybe on average 400 pieces of evidence. I delve deeply into each piece, man. So that one piece of evidence, that's some old confusing stuff that they're doing over there to me. But why you releasing it now, first of all? You see what I'm saying? Didn't they release it on Juneteenth or something? Something crazy like that?
Yeah, I think they did. I think on Juneteenth.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's just confused because you have to look at all the evidence together. So you got to understand, people are just looking, there's many ways to a win. People are just looking if it was self-defense or not. Well, no, you need to be able to look at all the evidence and see, because what's for certain in this case is the time didn't match the crime. The time didn't match the act. You see what I'm saying? Now, a lot of circumstances surround that because he didn't testify. You see what I'm saying? So the jury can't say they knew what he was thinking. But, all of the evidence in its totality is important because not only are you trying to get somebody off, get them not guilty, you're also trying to get them as least amount of time as possible. You see what I'm saying? So it could be something on that video that they could have used, to mitigate some evidence. But I heard that's another thing I heard wasn't much of an effort on the mitigating evidence in the punishment phase. Yeah. Which is a big problem, man. That's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Let's talk about the knife. Several people have argued that the knife should have changed because the knife was a multi-tool knife and not just a regular knife. That should have changed the way that the verdict came back. Legally speaking, what are your thoughts on that fact?
I don't, legally speaking, I'm glad you prefaced the question with that because a lot of people ain't gonna be happy with my answer. I don't think that matters. If it was a pencil and it was used to kill, it would be, you see what I'm saying? It would qualify as a murder weapon. If it was a highlighter and it was used to kill, you got a deadly weapon finding where the jury gets to decide if the weapon was used in a manner to cause, death. And, no matter what it is, I mean, if it got the blood of, Austin Metcalf on it or it's the murder weapon.
So even if it was legal under Texas law, you're saying that shouldn't change anything?
Well, what I'm saying is I think that was a collateral issue. I don't think there's anything that swayed that gave the jury the ability to check the not guilty box. I think that's a collateral issue the state used to kind of make the jury madder at him. Oh, he has a knife on the school campus. That's what DAs do. They play on their emotions. So
Right.
even though, his self-defense claim has nothing to do with if he should have added the knife in the first place, that don't really matter. The self-defense is if he thought that he was about to experience serious bodily injury or death. You see what I'm saying? And he used, deadly force to defend himself. It don't matter if he should have had the knife or shouldn't have. That's just some extra stuff they threw in there to make them white folks mad. And I'm telling you, in Collin County, what the DA gonna do, it never fails. He came to your community. He's doing this where your kids are going to school. Your kids are supposed to be safe. They playing that whole card. So even though that's not in the black letter of the law, that is a method they use to try to get the jury on their side and to dislike the defendant. You
Yeah.
see? Yeah.
But I can understand why they would do that. I mean, everybody trying to win, right? So I can
Yep.
understand.
You're right.
To be honest, if I was on that side, I'd do the same thing. My
Right.
thing is to discredit the other side as much as I can. So I absolutely understand that. But if you were preparing Carmelo Anthony's appeal today, what would be the main issue that you would bring up to try to get that appeal granted?
Well, let's be very clear. I'm not an appeals attorney,
Okay.
but I do know how appeals work. And right now, I think this would be the part where we're getting the investigation done. We might be trying to track the jurors down and interview them. We would definitely be looking at I know that they're looking at the record right now to see what all of the appealable issues are. Again, error has to be preserved by the trial attorney, meaning he has to object in order for those issues to be appealable. They're probably looking at that stuff. The main thing that I've seen and had different conversations with people, in the attorney community is the jury charge. The judge put some language in there that wasn't the law. That spoke about provocation. That basically made it seem like, I can't say what the exact language is, but attorneys that see this will know exactly what I'm talking about, and probably everybody else. But it was a paragraph that says something like, almost was turning Karmelo into the aggressor. Like, if you believe that he was the aggressor in this case, blah, blah, blah. And that's the jury charge is it's a packet, and it has all the law that the jury is supposed to depend on in it. The judge reads it to them before they deliberate. It's a very big deal. So my point is, if it ain't in the jury charge, you can't depend on it. And if it is in the jury charge, it has to be law. It has to be good law. So if you put bad law in the jury charge and the jury used that to render their verdict, sounds like an appealable issue.
Yeah, and don't the jury rely heavily on instructions from the judge? So if the judge say, "Hey, you need to be thinking this way. I'm gonna send you back here, and I need you to come back out and look, y'all need to come up with a decision right now, today." That would be overstepping his boundaries. But I've heard of judges being able to do stuff like that. And doesn't the jury rely heavily on the instructions from the judge?
Are you talking about when the judge was like, "I'm gonna put y'all in a hotel tonight if y'all don't have a verdict"?
Oh,
I think that was improper, man. I think that was improper because you are basically rushing them to a decision. It might be a jury here that's ready to go home. It might be a jury here that want to go home to his babies tonight. He ain't trying to go to no hotel. Damn what the judge talking about. I ain't trying to do that, judge. So I'm finna go and check this box right here. I was strong on not guilty, but it's cool, y'all. Let's go ahead and do guilty and get up out. See, those are the kind of things that entice a jury to go outside the bounds of what their duty is. That's why you don't say that. You say to them, "Hey, y'all get this done as quickly as possible. Any questions y'all have, y'all send back to the bench, and we'll get both sides in here and we'll go over them." But telling them what you gonna do if they don't render a decision quick enough, how can you not think that's that didn't affect their decision. I mean, that's, they supposed to feel like they got all day. They got forever in a day to as long as it's the correct verdict and they render it the right way. They not supposed to feel like it's a shot clock. When
Yeah.
the shot clock on 5, you look to shoot the ball. That's as simple as that. So
Yeah, and it could be also a situation where a juror may think that if he doesn't follow the directions of the judge, that somehow he might find himself in hot water with the courts. So
yeah,
there's a lot of jurors who show up for jury duty. They're not really acclimated to jury duty. They don't really know how the process goes. And so they're counting on the prosecution and they're counting on the judge, who, by the way, gets this check from the same people,
by the way.
to give them proper instructions legally. You know what I'm saying? You heard the 911 call. I think we're getting the echo.
Yes. Yeah, I
heard
it.
Okay, so you heard the 911 call. Was there anything in that 911 call that could have been helpful or hurtful to either side that wasn't emphasized during the trial?
Not really to me, because you don't hear him say who's around him. You see what I'm saying? When I listen to a 911 call, I'm trying to see who's all in the room, because I want to subpoena them as a witness. I'm trying to see, how many, who else called the police, who was out there, who saw, who heard, whatever. On the 911 call, he's pretty much just hysterical, and he's saying that the guy's bleeding, and I think he describes Mr. Anthony as standing on the field or something. But he don't really say anything like, hey, Chris, pass me that ice, or hey, Chris, hold his legs up. It's nothing really that you could grab off of there to use to, turn it into something helpful to me. Now I do hope that and I wrote the guy's name down, I ain't gonna say it, but he says his name on the recording. And, I do hope they cross-examined him or called him as a witness, because it seemed like they didn't have much to play with, so I hope that that's something they sunk their teeth into. I wasn't there though, but yeah, I hope they did.
Yeah. What do you think about the public reaction to all of this, man? Do you think that social media has made things more clear in terms of viewing the evidence for the public? Or do you think that it actually has made objective analysis more difficult?
I think people's concern and their question of his attorney in this entire situation are legitimate. I think the questions are legitimate. I think that there's no way for somebody like me that went to law school to see this go on and not have questions. I think the Frisco Police Department kind of did some weird stuff too by letting people go down and watch the video. You see, I don't really trust that. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but you got to understand, me being a defense attorney, the prosecutor is required by law to give me everything, right? So there's a very controlled environment where that happens, right? And I get everything. So I could figure out if it's something you ain't give me. You see what I'm saying? But how they know that's the full video? Who's regulating when the video starts, when the video, you know what I'm saying? And I've never had a murder case where people in the public were allowed, and they were broadcasting that they were allowed to go down and watch the tape. It's almost like they were trying to taint the jury pool under the radar. You see what I'm saying? If it's I don't know numbers, if it's 2 million people in Collin County and 200,000 of them seen the video, I mean, you see what I'm saying? Now, I know 200,000 people didn't see the video, but I'm just saying, you don't know who's going to be called down to be on your jury. And you letting random people just come see the evidence. Jury not supposed to even see the evidence until the case starts. They're not supposed to feel no kind of way about the evidence. They're not allowed to read anything online about the trial, during the trial. They're not allowed to go home and talk to their husband about it. They're not, none of that until you start deliberating. That's when. You see what I'm saying? So, that was just very weird of them. And it's almost like this fake transparency, right? Think about this, Willie. You letting random people come watch the video at the police station, but the judge ain't letting no black reporters in. Are you transparent or are you not transparent? You see what I'm saying? Do you,
Mhm.
it's kind of like they hiding the ball somewhere. Like, why would you be this transparent over here with the evidence, but don't nobody except people that was in the courtroom know what's going on in the courtroom? You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like a fake. It's like a pump fake. I don't trust it. So you ask, how do I feel about people's response, the public's response? And what I'm saying is, I think there were a lot of things done to kind of confuse the public and to make them choose a side. I mean, how people going to see the same video and some people saying it was punches, it wasn't no punches. Now we're not arguing if it was self-defense. We arguing if he was even under the umbrella, if he was even under the umbrella at the time. Now we arguing if it was, it's just it was too much going on, man. And I think that, we should have been a lot more quiet about our approach. That's how I would have been as an attorney. I wouldn't have done no press conferences. I wouldn't have threw the race card out there. I wouldn't have done, them folk wouldn't have knew what I was doing until I hit them with it. Until I had my suit and my briefcase. They wouldn't have knew what I was doing. Do I think race plays a role in this? I kind of do, but that's something that that's something you keep in your back pocket until it's time to pull it out. You feel me? You don't leave with that and let these white folks know for a year what your angle is. You see what I'm saying? That's something I would have kept in my back pocket. And out of these 21 witnesses, all the pieces of evidence that come in, soon as something comes in to support more that it was a race thing, that's when you bring it out. That way they ain't ready for it. They got to think on their feet. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to think on my feet. See, if you can't think on your feet, you're not a good attorney. You're not a good trial attorney. So all that, letting them know what the play was and being in the media, I just think that kind of hurt. But that's the past, though. That's the past. I don't mean to be negative. I don't want our people to think that I'm, that's the past. But, as far as how the public responded, I think a lot of things were done to make us look this way. Now everybody focused on race, and it's so much race conversation that, MFers ain't even prepared for the case. I mean, how the defendant not ready? And I don't even think that falls on Mr. Anthony. I think that falls on the attorney. I don't just lean over and whisper in my client's ear, hey, you ready to go next? You testify next. And put it on him. I don't do that. I done had, 17 and 1. I ain't never did that in 12 years. You prepare them. You do psychodrama. You ask some questions for you to get to know him. You ask some questions for him to get to know himself. You talk about why he thinks the way he thinks. Then after you do all the preliminaries, then you have him tell you the story over and over and over again until he's so comfortable with it he can say it in his sleep. Then it don't matter what the DA done did in trial. Because see, my defendants, they be like this, Willie. Is it my turn yet? Okay. They be ready.
Yeah.
they be ready. You know what I'm saying? It don't be no, 10 minutes. Oh, this my time. And we prepared for this. So, But yeah, very unfortunate. But I think he got a good shot, man, with the team he has, man. Yeah, a whole lot of faith in them boys, man. Russell and Justin, man, and them other attorneys, excuse me. Whole lot of faith.
Yeah. It was reported that the father, Jeff Metcalf, had a barbecue and he invited the witnesses to his house. And it was also reported that he offered bribes to the witnesses to make sure that they testified in a way that was consistent with the outcome that he wanted. If that is true, that is definitely grounds for a retrial, right?
If that is true, that needs to be investigated to the fullest extent. I don't know if it gets him an automatic new trial, but I know it gets him something.
Wouldn't that be criminal of him to do something like that also?
Yeah, that's witness tampering for sure. But him getting charged with witness tampering because of it and Karmelo getting an entire new trial, I think that probably is in the realm of possibility, but that's a long road. Appeal is a long road, period. But I think maybe going at the improper things that were done by the judge, that can be backed up with some law. See, an appeal, you want to throw the kitchen sink at them. You want to throw everything at them. You probably throw your strongest argument first, and then, everything else fall by the wayside. But you need law to support it. So you want to, all you need to do is prove one issue. You see what I'm saying? So if you throw 15 issues at them and you only prove one, if it's irreversible error, you'll win. But like I say, an appeal is a long process. He has a good team of attorneys that will do, all the legwork and all the legal work that needs to be done in order to do the process right and see that he's treated fairly. But people need to know, 90% of appeals get denied. You see what I'm saying? So this ain't really something we want to rush on. This is something we want to make sure we get right. And the attorneys that he has, I think they'll get it right. I think they'll be very meticulous, and they'll make sure that every box is checked and every stone is overturned for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, if this had happened 10 years ago, do you think that the public's response would have been the same, considering that people wasn't as active on social media?
I think it probably would have been the same. Black community been through a lot, man. We've been through a lot during the social media era, man. Unarmed people getting killed by the popo, and I mean, we got a lot of reasons to feel the way we feel, to the multitude that we feel it. I think it would have been the same 10 years ago. And I ain't mad at us neither. Who gonna look after us but us? But we want to make sure that we know what the law says. We want to make sure that we know what the facts were, and then we want to move, in the best way we can to help that boy out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think probably would have been the same. Man, you think it would have been different?
No, I think it would have been the same because we didn't have social media, but we got the news, which mainstream news, you can't really trust mainstream news, but mainstream news is such media hogs that they will put any story out, and anybody that want to talk, they got to keep on putting information out. They just gonna feed the beast, and so some of it's going to be they're going to show both sides. They're going to show the protest, and they're going to show the supporters. They're going to show both sides because that makes for good media for them, and it does well for them in regards to the numbers.
Yeah. I agree, man. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, social media might have been a little bit more wild 10 years ago, honestly. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that I think Karmelo is going to fall into that 10% where he gets that new trial. Oftentimes, you can argue law when it comes to appeals. You can argue law, and you may have a great point, but you may not get that appeal because, hey, nobody's really paying attention to the case and nobody cares. But the world eyes is on this case. And so they got to now dot those I's and cross those T's. Little old Collin County thought they were going to be able to hang this boy and bury the case and nobody would care. And little did they know, that's why I believe that they did not allow cameras into the courtroom. I think they were trying to quietly make this thing go down. We're going to do what we want to do. We're going to hang him high. I'm going to give him a 35-year sentence, and ain't nothing nobody going to be able to do about it. This is what I don't understand. So you got a range of punishment from 5 to 99 years, right?
Right.
That was his range of punishment, 5 to 99.
Right.
And so I was always under the impression that the low end was for those people in society who may be more redeemable, who had, who probably made a huge mistake, but it wasn't malicious. It wasn't a calculated malicious event. And so if you look at Karmelo Anthony's, first of all, if you look at what happened, he didn't instigate the incident. He didn't initiate anything. He was sitting down minding his own business, and he was accosted by a bully. Now, okay, so he stabs the guy. You can believe whatever you want to believe about how he to stab him.
Right.
He stabs him and the guy dies.
Right.
It was not premeditated. It was not planned. It's something that happened. You have people who commit crimes of passion, kill their spouse after catching them with somebody else, catching them cheating, and get 10 years in prison. And I'm talking about grown people who are in their 30s and 40s, whose minds are as matured as they should be by that time, and they get 10 years, but you give this child 35 years who otherwise is an exemplary citizen. He doesn't get it. He is a model kid at home. He's an honor roll student. He's not a troublemaker. People like him.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, the bonus is that he actually saved somebody's life before. If he don't qualify for the low end, if he don't qualify, I think he's 100% innocent, but let's just say he's guilty and let's give him that. He's guilty. If he don't qualify for the 5 years, who in the hell does?
Exactly. Look, I mean, that's one of the things that they may have a play on ineffective assistance of counsel. What did you say? Most of the time, the lower numbers for the people who are redeemable, right? Who are exemplary citizens, right? That's what mitigating evidence does in the punishment phase. All he had to do, look, I reached out to the mom of the person whose life Karmelo saved. I reached out to the mom and I had one question. I just had one question. I wanted to know, was she subpoenaed? She said no. I would have been there.
Wow.
I mean, she said no. I would have been there. You got to understand, to not even have her on ice, you're supposed to have her in the waiting room or sitting down by the vending machines with a Coke and some chips, waiting on you to send her the text. You see what I'm saying? You're supposed to have her in the building. You got to understand, that's why not calling him is so futile and it's so egregious. You didn't call him in the guilt and innocence phase. Okay, I don't understand that either. But that's the guilt and innocence phase. Once the verdict came down, now all you guys are focused on is getting him the least amount of time possible. Willie, I promise you, anywhere between 10 to 15 times during that trial, the prosecutor said the words indifference to human life, doesn't care about life. The entire time they were saying statements to make him seem like he is a person that has no regard for human life. Okay, it ain't nothing that rebuts that more than putting him up there for him to say, I actually saved the life. I mean, I actually risked my life to save a life. You see what I'm saying? They could have had something for them to look at. They could have had the newspaper article, entered that into evidence, or had the judge take judicial notice of it, publish it to the jury. And while I got Karmelo on the stand telling them about the decision he made to make sure somebody else continue to breathe, I got the jury looking at the evidence, looking at the paper, passing it to the next jury, looking at the paper, reading the article. You see, so they can see that this man, quite frankly, he does have a regard for human life. And he doesn't have a reckless disregard for human. I mean, so to not even put your bid in on that, to not even call, I mean, it's one thing not to call her, to not even subpoena her says she wasn't part of your preparation. It says she just wasn't on the list. I mean, it might be 50 different witnesses, and I put a dash and I put their role in the case. You see what I'm saying? And if he knew that was her role, that she felt good enough to not only go on social media, but to get in a newspaper article and give him praise for saving her son's life, she wouldn't have no problem doing that on the stand. He called Karmelo's mom. Okay, that ain't no fault to Karmelo's mom. I'm sure she did the best she could up there, but not letting him explain. And another thing, you said that it was heat of passion or whatever. Okay, people don't know. Once a guilty verdict for a murder comes out, you get a second bite at the apple to get sudden passion, right? So he could have put Karmelo up there. They could have did away with the self-defense stuff. No more talking about self-defense. But he could have put him up there in the punishment phase and had him say that he did that because he was so angry that, the Metcalf boy tried to punk him, or that the guy, something. He could have got up there and explained to them why it wasn't premeditated and it was just something he did that was based on heat of passion. They didn't even do that. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. I'm with you. Somebody diving in a pool to save somebody else, man, that's a certain type of person. You see what I'm saying? And the jury deserved to know that. And Carmelo deserved better than that. He deserved for the jury to know that not, I ain't saying it equals out, but it certainly takes away from the prosecution's claim that I don't care about life. Which could have took that 35 down to 15, or could have took the 35 down to 5. You know, so and honestly, another thing about sudden passion, if the jury feels that it was sudden passion, it takes you back to two. I think it takes you back to 2 to 10. I think it takes you back to 2 to 10, and they wouldn't have been able to give him more than 10. I'm almost positive it does. But it's just that the point I'm making to you. You see how the avenues I'm explaining to you? It's just too many different roads to get them the result that they saw, and for no road to be taken at all, man. It's just like I say, the people's concern is legitimate, man. It's legitimate. You know.
Andrew, so I've been hearing a lot of chatter in the background where people are saying things like his parents, Karmelo's parents, did not sit in on the hearing of the sentencing phase when they actually sentenced him. When the judge gave him his time, his parents were not there. Can you explain to the slow pokes out there why a loving mother and father may not sit in on listening to a judge give their child who was found guilty time?
It's probably broken, man. I mean, it's a mom. It's a mom losing a son. I've had plenty of moms that, um, you know, after we get the verdict, the not guilty verdict on the murder, right? Well, once we get and say there's a guilty verdict on the manslaughter, the lesser included. Well, mama probably sitting in the hall for that. She's relieved. She's relieved that you didn't get convicted of murder, but it's just too much for him sometimes, man. I mean, those are his parents, man. I've had conversations with the father. I haven't had a conversation with the mom. I assumed it was because she was a little more hands off because she was going through emotions and dealing with how this is emotionally affecting her. But that ain't nothing. Like, these are things that are talked about months before, man. When I do a case, I tell people I don't make it to the punishment phase often. I don't. I'm not bragging about that. I'm bragging in the Lord. Good Lord done bless me to have the skills to pay the bills. And most of the time, we get a not guilty. Hence, not guilty boys. You understand what I'm saying? But in the event that they do come back guilty, we're going to have to go through a punishment phase. And I say, give me a list of people that can say something good about you. Give me a pastor that can say something good about you. Pick your favorite teacher of all time and give me her information. And we're prepared for that. You see what I'm saying? So my point to you is I'm sure the attorney was probably aware that mama ain't want to sit in there and listen to that. I mean, she's probably outside trying to keep it together, man. And my heart goes out to that family, man. I mean, I can't imagine what losing a child is like. So I mean, that didn't play that much into anything for me. I tell the mama, I say, mama, do whatever makes you comfortable. I'm gonna go in here and handle business. I'll come out here and tell you what the verdict was. So yeah, I think we got to be sensitive to that, man. But I can't imagine how hard it is having to emotionally keep it together and still get this work done, because you got to understand, an appeal, I mean, it ain't forever. They only got a certain amount of time to hire an attorney, get the investigation done. And so I'm sure they juggling a lot, man. You know what I'm saying? But, it's hard to know what they're thinking, though. It's hard to know what they're thinking. I'm sure it's traumatic, though.
As a trial attorney, how hard is it for you to emotionally keep it together and still get the work done? Because, you're often not like you have to deal with families' grief, and when they call you, oftentimes you're dealing with people when they're going through one of the roughest patches of their life. You being a passionate guy who does the work that you do with your partner, how much does these type of cases take out of you?
Man, I gotta be humble in the Lord and say it don't take much out of me at all, man. And I'm laughing because I've been asked that before and people don't believe it. But I haven't worked since May 16th, 2014, man. This is what I was put on this world to do. I was put here to be a conduit of the Lord's grace and mercy, man. Everybody got a job to do. I mean, the good books say that, Christ is the head of all government. You know what I'm saying? So my point is, I think he cool with what I do. I mean, he the head of government. Everybody got a job to do. I mean, if you're a prosecutor and you are just as passionate about putting people in jail as I am about keeping people out of jail, I ain't mad at you because I can relate to your passion. Now I'm gonna beat you. I need to beat you. I'm gonna put pressure on myself to beat you because I don't want you to win. I don't want you to gain your objective and put another black man in jail. You understand what I'm saying? So it don't take nothing out of me, man, because I'm very passionate about it. And the way I got into this, because I got in a lot of trouble growing up, and I didn't have a lawyer for me. So I'm very knee deep in my purpose, man. So I think it just comes with the game. If you got to explain to mama what happens to her baby if this goes wrong, then that's my responsibility. But I don't think that I try not to pay any attention to the emotional side. The DA is gonna do that enough. I got to make sure that I'm sharp. I got to make sure that I'm thinking on my feet, and I got to make sure that I know what the DA's next move is. So it ain't really much time to be sad and going through it. Now, I have been in some trials where the pictures, maybe a baby passed or something, and the pictures kind of mess you up, and if you got kids, but anything other than that, man, I mean, I'm sure other attorneys do, but nah, me and Mike, man, this kind of what we was put here to do, man. So you can have a lot of confidence when you got the Lord behind you.
Yeah, and I wanted to show everybody your YouTube channel. This is Not Guilty Boys, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Not Guilty Boys. This is the YouTube channel. Y'all go follow this channel, fam. You're gonna learn a whole lot. Go follow the channel right now, everybody. I'm gonna give y'all a moment to go follow this channel.
Shout out to Michael Campbell too, man. The other half of Not Guilty Boys, man.
That's right.
Out there stepping.
Come on now. Speak on it, fam. We had 589 subscribers at the very least, man. I know we got at least 3,000 people listening. We supposed to be over 3,000 at least subscribers before we get off this line. At least.
We 17 and 1 in murder trials, man. We just trying to get the people something to sink their teeth into, man. Let y'all guys know what the law is. Let y'all know what to do when you're pulled over. We just want to be a place y'all can come to see, find out more about the law and how to apply it, man.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up.
Give us a call if you need us. I appreciate you having me on the show, man. I really do. And I love to be here again, honestly.
Absolutely, man. I got you, man. And I appreciate you coming on the show and imparting your wisdom.
For sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Wilkerson, attorney, and Andrew.
Yes, sir.
Let me put some respect on his name. That's what's up. No more talk.